I'm here today to talk to you about a mystery. And it's a mystery that starts with data and ends with the life chances of millions of children around the world. And if you look at this graph, if you look at how kids perform on international tests since 1960, what you see is change, right? Now, when I would talk to people about this, they would be like, yeah, you know, but it's not really fair to compare the United States to Finland. You know, we're a big, diverse country. And that's true. So it's much more sensible, right, to compare our states to countries. Because the state and local level is where the action is, as I don't need to tell you, in education in America. And when you do that, you see something interesting. So if this is a map that is based on how our states are performing in roughly comparable countries. And you can see that if there's sort of a color-coded range of performance. And what you see, there's a couple interesting things. Most of the country is orange, sort of in the middle. And then you see that no countries are purple. I'm sorry, no states are purple. Purple represents the countries that are performing in the top, say, 15 rankings of the world, very top league of the world. So places like Finland and Canada and Korea. So no countries at that level, but which is interesting, isn't it? So this data, which comes much of it from this PISA test, is incredibly useful. But I wanted to get into the blank spots that the data couldn't illuminate. So to do that, I needed like informants, sources on the inside. There are 30,000 teenagers in America and around the world who every year leave their homes in search of adventure and spend a year living either in the United States from another country or in another country. And these kids, these exchange students, became my kids on the inside who could show me their schools in other countries and, importantly, also talk about how they compared to their schools back in the United States. One thing that they noticed as the kids spent more time in their countries is that everything in school was harder, just harder. Not more work. In fact, American students, we know, do more homework on average than students across the developed world, but it is of a lower quality. So things were just harder. Every country in the world that performs at a very high level at some point got their act together and decided to have one central set of standards that were higher than they ever had been before. And in that sense, the Common Core is an obvious prerequisite to achieving anything that these countries have achieved. So, you know, just so we're clear, that is definitely a step in the right direction. I think most of us can all agree on that. This teacher didn't get into ed school, to teacher college, on his first try. He didn't get in on his second try. He got in on the third try, though. This is something you hear a lot in Finland. Does anyone know an American teacher who did not get into ed school on their first try, or an American period? This is a big deal, and it's not just a big deal for the obvious reasons. I mean, you've all heard that Finland recruits its teachers from the top third of its graduating high school seniors. It's a bigger deal than I think I realized. And not just because those teachers are highly educated, so it's easier for them to teach complicated 21st century skills because they themselves have the privilege and advantage of a great education, but also because of the signals that it sends to the kids. An American exchange student that I surveyed actually wrote in the survey on her own volition. She said, in Finland, the kids are well aware of how accomplished their teachers are. And that respect changes the dynamic, not only for the kids, but for the politicians and the parents